Well, I think it's fair to say that the seed grant that I got from the HSCI really changed the course of my whole career. I can't say it too much more simply than that.
We couldn't have done the research that we did without HSCI funds. When I started my lab about 3.5 years ago, one of the first grants that we got was one of the HSCI seed grants. And that really set us up in order to start these experiments. Subsequently, using the HSCI funds, we were able to hire fellows and a half-time technician in the laboratory, and now have morphed the lab into receiving R01 funding and R21 funding through the government. And so it's been a very productive partnership with HSCI.
The junior faculty program really came at a critical time for all of us. It was about the time when most of us had been into our labs a couple of years after starting our labs, and it really allowed us to run with some of the projects that we thought were really promising, but that none of us had actual funding to pursue on our own. I think another key aspect of the junior faculty program is that it was more than just allowing us to do a project that we didn't have current funding for. It really funds the kind of projects that no other foundation would want to fund at this time. They're very early stage or exciting new ideas, and we haven't proven yet that they work. So it gives us the chance to really try them out, and I think we've all made some really important advances because of that.
As the program progressed, we actually ran out of money at one point, and it was absolutely terrific to be part of the Harvard Stem Cell Institute, and in particular the Elizabeth Miller Consortium for Central Nervous System Disease, which is a group of neuroscientists, neurobiologists here at Harvard Stem Cell Institute. We could collaborate thanks to that consortium funding and make the final discoveries in this program and actually keep our staff and keep this work going, which is so important and so meaningful because it has direct disease relevance.
So HSCI seeded some of the funding for this project, and it was very important because it allowed us to determine the best way to do this study. And it's been about a 5 to 6 year effort for the first publication, but we think it's going to open the doors to a lot of new research.
Just over 2 years ago, the Harvard Stem Cell Institute decided to invest in creating an induced pluripotent stem cell core. And it started small in a location here at Mass General Hospital in just one room with 2 people working to get it up and established. And in just that first year, they were able to adopt new technologies and implement them for the first time in a sort of rigorous and thorough way. Seeing how valuable this would be, the steering committee at the HSCI in general and the executive committee decided that further investment in this core was probably a smart idea. So they established new space in Cambridge, which we moved to just over a year ago, which is about 3 times the size, and will allow us to have up to 16 total staff members. Currently we have 8 full-time staff that are working in the core facility, and over the course of the last year we've now served well over 30 different faculty members part of the HSCI to make induced pluripotent stem cell lines, and the number, as it was last reported to me, is around 400 pluripotent stem cell lines. So I would say it's been a massive success.
You know, in essence, you know, as I said, HSCI, you know, basically got this whole ball rolling scientifically by providing the resource. So, you know, without that support, this idea that we had, which is now translated, you know, and will soon translate clinically, would not have had a chance to incubate. So.
One of the very first grants I ever received was from the HSCI. It was a seed grant to work on skeletal muscle stem cells. And this was actually incredibly transformative to the future direction of my lab because I had come from postdoctoral training in hematology and had done most of my work in hematopoietic stem cells and had recently, within a year or year and a half, from leaving my postdoc lab, entered into the skeletal muscle field. And so I was a newcomer to the field, and that's difficult always to try to win funding in that kind of an environment. And the HSCI supported that seed grant that was so critical for us to generate the data that really solidified our position in the field. And so now more than half of my lab is working on skeletal muscle, and we've had multiple, I think, very important papers in that area that are based on that original work that was supported by the HSCI.